G'day guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video we're going through my round 14 AFL tips and predictions. Before we get straight into this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into the round 13 review from last weekend of footy. And I'm sorry for not uploading a round 13, 12 or 11 tips video. I haven't been able to do it because I have just been super busy with school and stuff. But nonetheless, let's get straight into the review from round 13. Alrighty, so if we review last weekend's footy tips, I got a total score of 6 out of 8 tips corrected. Pretty well this round. Did really well, actually. I only got the 2 incorrect. I was in the top 15% of footy tippers on ESPN footy tips. So credit to myself for getting a good score. And yeah, not too bad so far. At 80 points so far in the season. Obviously people are already in the hundreds because they somehow snipe the tips so easily. But you know what? I'm not like them, okay? I'm not like them whatsoever. But nonetheless, let's go through the review. So I tipped Adelaide on the Thursday night. Oh my goodness, what a game. I don't know if Geelong were robbed in the end or not. But Adelaide, I couldn't believe we got the job done. I thought we were going to lose fair and square, even though I did tip us. I had no faith going into this whatsoever, thinking, okay, Geelong have got this one in the bag. Yet they came off back-to-back losses, and probably 2 losses they should have won, let alone they probably would have been robbed in. So I don't know about the Carlton game nor the Crows game, but if anyone has their own opinions, you can shout at me in the comments saying Geelong were robbed right in front of me, whatever. Doesn't matter, because the Crows got the job done, that's what the umpires saw. Adelaide won by a point, and I got that one right. Then I tipped Hawthorn on the Friday night. I did tip the Bulldogs to start with, and then I changed to Hawthorn. I thought, you know what, Hawthorn, they're a really good team in the MCG. They're obviously not the best of the MCG compared to Melbourne, who have been 7-zip this season at the MCG so far. So credit to Melbourne, who are 7-0 in the season, just defending the Pies on the Monday. On King's birthday to continue that streak or keep that streak alive. The Bulldogs won against Hawthorn by 6 points, so credit to the Dogs winning by 6 points in a thriller on the Friday night. Then we move to the Saturday games. First one, North Freo. Everyone would have backed in Freo. They've won the past 11 or 12 games in a row. I think they've won 11 in a row, and they kicked 19 goals in a row in one stage of this game. So unbelievable. They won by 124 points, and they're going to be fan favourites to win the premiership this year, let alone probably minor premiers of all things this year. So credit to Freo getting the job done against North in Bunbury by a whopping 100 plus point margin. Back to Gold Coast over Brisbane. Thought they'd get the job done. Obviously didn't. Brisbane I've turned into their best form. Logan Morris kicked 7, had an outstanding performance, and the Brisbane Lions got the job done. Then I tipped Port over West Coast. I thought this is a bit of a 50-50 game, but I'll go with the disadvantage of Port Adelaide. I'll see how Port Adelaide go. I don't know if West Coast were meant to win that game or not, but nonetheless, umpires called it as a Port win by 6, so same margin, same score as Dogs v Hawks, so great game that was on the Saturday night. Got that one right as well. Could have got that one wrong, but thank God I got it right. Thank goodness to Port Adelaide getting the job done, despite me hating Port Adelaide that much. Then I tipped the last 3 correct, tipping Sydney over St Kilda. They only just scraped with a win, winning by 2 points. They found a way to kick a winning goal. Jai Sarong, you Lord and Saviour, got my tip right from that. St Kilda basically would have won the game if that didn't happen. Well, they definitely would have won the game if that didn't happen, because they were up all game, I believe, until that moment. And then Carlton defeating Essendon. Most people saw this coming. Yes, they only won by 5, but Carlton, they're a good team now. They've won 4 in a row on the back of Josh Fraser. Who knows? They could be a wildcard team this year. They're going to be a dangerous outfit for the next couple of weeks. And then Melbourne over Collingwood, pretty easy one to get correct, even though it was a 50-50 game, like it always has been between Collingwood and Melbourne. We've seen these 2 teams battle it out in close contests, and what a treat to have it on a day, King's birthday, where Neil Danaher's first non-appearing King's birthday game, unfortunately passing away during the week a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, that was a great game to play on in honour of the quote Neil Danaher gave. play on, and Cozzy Pickett did exactly that, kicking the game winner by winning them by 8 points in the end. GWS and Richmond had the buys, but without further ado, let's go through the tipping comp to see who's leading on the tipping comp leaderboard right now, because I'd love to see who's on top, who's in the middle, and who's down low at the bottom and has no chance of winning the potential prizes I might have coming in the future. So let's have a look at the tipping comp leaderboard. So if we have a quick skim of the leaderboard, Big Kev still on top with a score of 89 points. It says I have 86, but I don't believe that's right. I think the reason why is because I used my Joker round in round 11, which is what everyone used in round 11. Round 11 was an easy one to tip. So that's why I'm third now. 3P pending with 87. I'm with 86 in third. Alvin Tiger Jones in fourth. Shannon has gone down from fourth or around the top half to the bottom half in fifth. We're in the middle of a ladder. Ronnie Reagan, 69, basically still in the running, but didn't really get too good of a score last week. Got a 4 out of 8 last week, which was half of the tips, and got a total score of 80 in sixth. Brizzy is the best, or Brizzy whatever. Brizzy is the GOAT, whatever, is in seventh, and JC Boy's winning has basically given up in the footy tips. He was up in the leaderboard at the early stages, and then once people joined, he just climbed he just went from peak to down really low down at the bottom. So now he's got 69 at the worst score possible. At least he's done tips for the past couple of weeks. At least he hasn't forgotten. But nonetheless, make sure, tippers in the tipping comp, make sure to get your tips in for this week, because this week's going to be an exciting one. Let's get into the Thursday night game onwards to Sunday afternoon, where we have another round of 7 or 8 games this weekend due to the third bye round of this year. So we kick off proceedings on another Thursday night, 7 PM, exactly on the dot at Marvel Stadium. It is my mob, the Adelaide Crows, in an away game away from home. We are taking on the Western Bulldogs, who are a tough team, on the 11th of June 2026, Thursday night football. What a game this is going to be. Adelaide, they're coming off the win to Geelong by a point. The Dogs also coming off a win, but they don't have to travel this weekend, whereas Adelaide do. They have to travel to Melbourne on the plane, whereas the Dogs get to stay there and travel. Instead of from the MCG, they go to Marvel Stadium for a game, but obviously not on the same day or the second, or in a day, in a day's length or whatever. But nonetheless, Dogs v Crows. This is going to be a thrilling contest, but I'm going to see my team back this. I'm going to back my team in this one. I know the Dogs are really dangerous this season. They're turning into a finals outfit, and they're in a comfortable 6th position. Despite that, I'm going to go the Crows. I know we have no Taylor Walker this weekend due to a suspension, knocking Mitch Edwards or whoever that was in defence. I think it was O'Sullivan or someone in defence that he knocked, obviously inappropriately, well, not inappropriately, but just unacceptably, and obviously got a suspension for 1 week, so he won't be participating in this game. But I reckon we still have the chance to win this game, like we did last year. If we play the same style of football we did last year against the Dogs, and we play like what we did the whole season last year and into one game, that would be crucial. That would be good to get. So the Crows, I'm going to back us in a thrilling contest. I'm going to back them in by 13 points. I see us winning in a comfortable game. Not too comfortable, but I think it's going to be over 2 goals. Only just, though. The Dogs have the advantage in the tipping odds. I'm going to back in my team. I know I don't always back in my team, which is fair enough, because teams like Freo, Sydney, Geelong maybe, even though I tipped the Crows last week against Geelong, for the most part, I normally tip the good sides against Adelaide. I don't always tip my team, which I really should be doing, but this week I'm going to back myself in. I'm going to back in my own team. I have faith this weekend. I'm going to back him in by 13 points to kick off the weekend. We move on to Friday night footy at GMHBA, 7:10 PM at the Cattery. It is the Cats and the Suns from GMHBA in Geelong. 12th of June this year is, of course, my grandpa's birthday, just so you guys know. He's turning 80 on this day, and I'll be celebrating outside of youth group. I will not be going to youth group this week, thank goodness, so I can have dinner with my family, because it's his 80th birthday. It's fair enough that it's a good, nice celebration for his 80th. Geelong v Gold Coast is the matchup, nonetheless. We're going to back in Geelong in this one. Geelong should win. Gold Coast, yes, they've been good over the past few weeks. They just, last week, obviously, they came off the loss to Brisbane in the Q Clash, and obviously the game a couple of weeks back, they obviously did have a bye. But No, nonetheless, I still think the Gold Coast Suns, yes, they come off 2 consecutive losses despite the bye being one of them. If that doesn't, I mean, that doesn't really count, but the bye being in between those 2 losses, and 3 of the last 5 have been wins for Gold Coast, but I still see Gold Coast being a finals outfit. I just think Geelong are too powerful at GMHBA. They should get the job done in this one. They defeated the Dockers, which is pretty surprising because Fremantle have beaten them there the past couple of times, except for round 1 earlier this year, which was Freo's only loss this year, I believe, by memory, to the Geelong outfit at GMHBA. So I'm going to back in the Cats on this Friday night. I'm going to back them in by 25 points. I see them winning comfortably. I just don't see Gold Coast competing, even though they've got a much better list to what they did last year, because they only made it to a semi-final last year. Yes, they did make finals for the first time, but they didn't make it too far in finals. They only made it to the semi-final and got thrashed by Brisbane, also known as the Premiers from last year, against Geelong in that grand final last year. So we're knocking the Geelong Cats to win this game by 25 points on their home turf against the Suns on the Friday night. We kick off Super Saturday on Fox, 12:45 p.m. the 13th of June at the MCG. First encounter. This is going to be the gather round rematch between Melbourne and Essendon, live from the G. Melbourne still undefeated in season 2026 at the MCG. The Bombers, obviously, they're still sitting in the bottom spot of the ladder. They are not looking like the team to beat this season. Obviously, Essendon are the worst team in the comp by far. They've got one of the youngest lists in the comp, alongside West Coast and Richmond and that. But still, those teams are also pretty poor to be realistic. So Melbourne v Essendon, it's probably going to be an easy Melbourne tip for me, because the Bombers, yes, they're not that great. The only team they're probably really good against is Richmond or maybe even West Coast, because obviously they only lost by 30 to West Coast. Yes, it was only by 30, but yes, it was by 30, which is a pretty broad margin and pretty big margin, but it's not that bad as you come to think of it, because West Coast obviously were the worst team last year, and Melbourne, yeah, they are looking to be one of the dangerous teams this year. So Essendon, they're not going to beat them this week. I know they beat them in gather round, but that doesn't mean they're going to win 2 times, especially at the MCG, when the Melbourne Demons are undefeated 7-0 at the MCG this season. So I'm going to back in the D's to win comfortably. 56-point margin this should be. I'm going to back them in by 56. As a random margin prediction, Melbourne to win over Essendon to keep their streak alive and keep it 8-0 at the MCG in 2026. Keep the streak alive, Melbourne. You're going to be up for the fight against the Bombers on the Saturday afternoon. Now, this is where North Melbourne continue their run in Perth. The two games they play in Perth against Fremantle and West Coast. This one being against West Coast at Optus Stadium. A home game for North, weirdly enough, but still, West Coast fans still get to watch their team play at Optus, even though it's not a home game for them. But nonetheless, 3:45 North and West Coast. This should be a win for North in my books. But West Coast, they're looking dangerous over the past couple of weeks. Yes, they came off a loss to Port Adelaide last week, and that was just a narrow margin. North Melbourne, yes, they came off a loss to Fremantle, but that was by a massive 124-point margin. They should not be doing that again. So, with that being said, because West Coast fought with Port Adelaide, because Port Adelaide are a younger list than North Melbourne are, I think West Coast can win this game. So, sorry, younger list than Freo, should I say, because Freo are so much more experienced. Obviously, they're top of the table, and they're one or 2 games clear. So, unbelievable from the Dockers in that position, winning by 124 points to North, even though it was North Melbourne, and yes, Fremantle are the best team in the comp. But West Coast, I'm going to back you guys in at Optus Stadium. You shouldn't lose another game at Optus to North. Obviously, last time you played North, it was in Bunbury. This time it's at Optus, but last time it was in Bunbury at Hands Oval. But come to speak of it, North Melbourne should win this game and bounce back from a 124-point loss. But I just don't see it happening. I think West Coast, because they have a bigger, more experienced list, even though they're such a young list as well, they're overcoming some really big challenges that they faced last year, and obviously their new debutants that debuted in round 1 or 2 this year, like Cooper Duff-Tyler has been a big impact for the West Coast Eagles this season, and so many other players that I could mention, such as Harley Reid, who's played in the AFL for a while, and also Job Shanahan as well for the West Coast Eagles. So we're backing the Eagles to win this game against North. We're back them in by 13 points. I think it's going to be a nice 13-point margin again, like the Crows game should be on the Thursday night. Backing the Eagles in at Optus Stadium. They'll have a bigger crowd because obviously it's in Perth at Optus Stadium in front of their home fans, even though it's a North home game. So we're backing the Eagles by 13 points. We move to the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide taking on Sydney at the Adelaide Oval, 7:05 p.m. live from Adelaide Oval in the City of Churches. Port Adelaide, last time they played Sydney when they were this good was 2024, I believe, when they were this good last time, Sydney. They absolutely obliterated them by 112 points. Can they repeat history? I don't think so. Sydney, they've got a much better list. Josh Laurent kicked the game winner last week, and that'll boost their confidence into a game they should be winning this week against Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide, they're just not one of the teams that they are going to compete this season. Obviously, Carlton are up there for contention in competition, in competing fight, but Port Adelaide are on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're around the bottom half of the ladder. They should stay there for the rest of the season because Port Adelaide is shocking. They should have won their losses that they lost in a close one to the Dogs, to the Crows, who else too? I don't even know. But whenever they lost to one of those teams, like by a close margin, they should have realistically won. Especially the showdown. The showdown they should have won because what's his name? Berry goal was crucial, but with 46 seconds left, Crows had enough time, and of course, Braden Cook sealed the deal. I couldn't believe that game. My eyes flashed. Well, the screen flashed before my eyes actually, and I couldn't believe they won that game. But back on to Port Adelaide in a home game. Sydney should win this game. I'm going to back them in a comfortable one. They will win by 28 points. I think they should win convincingly. They should win by more realistically because Port Adelaide are shocking this season. They're not really the team to compete and the team that really deserves a spot in the finals. So I'm going to back in Sydney, comfortable win. And if Freo lose this week, which I highly doubt it, but if they do lose, then Sydney will go back to top based on percentage. So Sydney need this win to stay in touch with the top spot. Funny how I say that because I did look at the buys for this week, and Fremantle have one of the buys this week. But nonetheless, we move on to the next game. Sunday afternoon footy, 12:40 p.m. at Blundstone Arena, or Ninja Stadium as they call it now. Richmond taking on Brisbane at Ninja. Richmond are the new hosts of Ninja Stadium due to North Melbourne hosting games in Perth. Once in Bunbury, once in regular Perth at Optus Stadium. So this game between Richmond and Brisbane should be an easy win to Brisbane. I'm going to back them in a comfortable win. They should win this game realistically. They're the better team out of the two. Richmond, they've only pulled off the two or three wins this season. Yes, they've done more than what they did last season. Well, probably around the same as what they did last season, but yeah, Richmond, they're just not one of the teams that should win this game realistically. They've got a much younger list like what Essendon have. That's why they're the bottom two teams on the leaderboard. So I'm going to back in the Lions in a convincing win. They've just come off a win to the Gold Coast Suns in the Q Clash at People's First. So they should win this game. They're in the 9th position right now with 3 of the last 5 being losses, which is obviously the last game being a win, and the game 3 or 4 weeks ago was a win. So the 3 games in between have been losses, which is unfortunate for Brisbane in their last encounters, but Richmond shouldn't give them Richmond should be giving them an easy task in this one, and Brisbane will win this game convincingly. I'm going to say them to win this game by 38 points. Should win this game convincingly, and they'll win the first game of 2. There's not much to speak of it because this game will probably be boring as hell because Brisbane are the better side and they should compete for their 3rd flag in a row. So Brisbane, they're winners by 38 points in my prediction over Richmond. And we move on to the final game of the round, 2:45 p.m. at Marvel. Unfortunately not a Melbourne game at the MCG, but it is a 2:45 p.m. time slot at Marvel. St Kilda taking on GWS, probably the best game on the list out of the matchups that we have this weekend. 31% going St Kilda's way, 69 to GWS. GWS, they're sitting in 10th spot with a 24-point record and 103.2 percentage. Their last 2 games have been wins. Before the bye, of course, obviously the last 2 rounds, which was round 12 and round 11, they obviously got wins to the likes of Melbourne And I don't remember who they versed in round 11, but I'll put it on screen right now who they versed in round 11 in the top left or right hand corner, wherever I'm pointing, wherever I'm showing it on the edited screen. But regardless, St Kilda, they're coming off 4 of the last 5 games being losses, 3 of them in a row being losses. And yeah, they're in a bit of strife right now, St Kilda. They've obviously come off the loss, I believe, to... Who was it that they played last week? I believe it was Sydney by 2 points. So, realistically, they should have won, but they just overcame a loss by 2 points, unfortunately, from Jai Sarong kicking the match winner. And then there was 14 seconds left, so they had time, but not enough time to kick a game-winning goal, basically on the siren or after. So, St Kilda, they should realistically lose this game. Should I back them in? Not really. I think the GWS Giants will have this game in the bag to win this game. I'll back them in to finalise the round by 23 points in a closer margin than what I think, because I have to change up the margins for these types of games, because I always have to adjust it every now and again for each game. But nonetheless, GWS should be the final winners on the round, beating St Kilda at Marvel. But who knows, St Kilda, they're a good team at Marvel. You never count them out against teams like GWS in a regular season game, because they can compete in some instances, which is quite random, because obviously they did it against Melbourne, who were not really that good last season, nor was St Kilda, but both of them were around the same skill level throughout that game. And obviously Naz kicking the game winner after the siren after being 46 points down. Melbourne were well and truly winners in that one until that fourth quarter arrived. So, yeah, Melbourne's defence wasn't really good in that one. So let's see if a similar thing can happen with GWS against St Kilda. Hopefully for St Kilda's fans, yes. But for Giants fans, no. And obviously for my sake, hopefully it's a no as well. Because I'm backing in the Giants to finalise the round with a win. Winning this game, coming off the bye week, they should have fresh legs winning this game by a margin of 23 points to finalise round number 14. And the buys for this week are Carlton, Collingwood, Fremantle and Hawthorn. Like I said earlier, Fremantle obviously having the bye this week. So if Sydney win, which they should be realistically winning to Port Adelaide, if they do win, they will either go tied first and still stay second, or depending on how much they win by, they could beat them by percentage, because it's 147.9 to 147.3 on percentage. But nonetheless, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to comment down below your tips and predictions for this weekend of footy. I've already forgotten my outro because I haven't done the tipping video for so long. But nonetheless, we'll see you guys in the next bit of content I post here on the channel. Compilation videos, tip videos, and all sorts of content coming soon. Obviously a stream will not be on Thursday night for the Crows game, unfortunately, but there will be some streams this weekend, probably for the St Kilda v GWS game on the Sunday afternoon. But it is toodles for me for now. We'll see you guys in the next bit of content I post here on the channel. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.